2001 by launching GSLV, that is Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle, in 2001. This is the picture of GSLV launched in 2001. In 1981, SLV-3 was launched. Our president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he was the project director at that time. But as I said, SLV-3, when it was launched in 1981, it failed in 1 year, and people formed a failure analysis board to see the whole technology or the whole launch failed. And at that time, the present ISRO chairman, Dr. Madhavan Nair, he was the member secretary of this failure analysis board. And it was said at that meetings, those failure board meetings, it said if one does not do anything, he does not experience any problem. In a mission, problems arise. Problems should not become the master. You should become the master of the problem, defeat problem and succeed. Another important launch, or the satellite which India has successfully done, is the GramSat. GramSat is a dedicated satellite to eradicate illiteracy in the country, and the first pilot experiment which is done is the Vidyavahini, and the project was inaugurated in Orissa. This project has provided developmental communication to villages in 3 main regions, which are the most backward regions, that is in the Kalahandi, Bolangir and the Koraput region. And there are almost 800 villages which has been covered under these three regions to provide the developmental communication. The Vidyavahini project has been replicated in Andhra Pradesh for their telemedicine and for the agriculture, for e-governance and for the distance education programs, and the Government of India wants to replicate these programs in other states. So, this GramSat was another satellite which is an important landmark in the satellite history of India. Another important satellite which we launched is the METSAT. As the name suggests, it has to do something with the meteorological thing. It was launched in 2002, it means it is a latest satellite launch, and it is dedicated meteorological satellite. This satellite gives the cyclone warning, it collects data on that, it gives weather imagery and sent to the meteorological departments. So, METSAT is another important satellite which the country launched in 2002. Another experimental satellite is the GSAT satellites. The GSAT-1 satellite was launched in 2001. These GSAT satellites are used for digital audio broadcasting and digital TV signal transmissions. The next in the series of the GSAT is GSAT-2, which was launched in the year 2003, and GSAT-3 and GSAT-4 are under planning. So, this is another satellite which India has been able to design and launch successfully. Now, we come on to the dedicated satellite, that is the EduSat. It is a dedicated satellite for education. It was launched in September 2004. It weighs 1950 kgs. It has 5 Ku band transponders covering north, northeast, east, south and western regions. It has 1 Ku transponder which covers the mainland, and the satellite was developed within a short span of 3 years. That is, ISRO took only 3 years to develop this satellite and launch this satellite. It has costed $17 million and satellite life is of 7 years. This is another picture of the geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle rocket launched with EduSat. It is about educating the nation. We have the challenge that how we have to educate the nation. The challenge is within education, we have to achieve total literacy, first point. We have to have universal elementary education with quality by 2010. We have to have universal secondary education by 2015. Till now, the Government of India's priority was universal elementary education, but now we want to achieve universal secondary education, because once we achieve the elementary education, all these students will be going to the secondary education. So, we have to have the universal secondary education by 2015. From secondary education, we have to have the Government of India's achievement, or the target is 20% participation in higher education at the earliest. That is the Government of India's target. And the next challenge is the improvement of quality education at all levels, whether it is at elementary education or secondary education or at higher education. We need to improve or have to have quality at all levels. And then global competitiveness. We all know that we are getting universities from outside in our country. So, it is becoming global. So, we have to have a global competitiveness, and hence we can achieve our targets. The other challenges of education are, this was we are talking about the main three levels, the elementary, the secondary and the higher education level. The next challenge of education is we have illiteracy in health and nutrition sector, science and technology, monosyllabic education we have to provide, and life education, life skill educations we have to provide. We have to provide legal literacy, which especially we have to cater to the women, and we have to have a knowledge flow and management system. And the last and the most important, through which the distance education or we can use the facilities of EduSat, is the continuing and enrichment lifelong education, that we can say the capacity building or the training, the skills which we need in all the workers from any field. So, what is the concept? We have to have in the EduSat, it is channels for small children, old age, youth, women, science and technology, heritage, health, language learning, besides the school and the higher education. How we are going to do is through radio, television, video and computer communications. Then we have interactive and non-interactive modes. The next important point, what will be the pedagogy here? Like in a classroom, whether it is at school level or whether it is at higher education level, it is an instructivist approach. That is, teacher comes to the class and he or she just delivers the lecture and thinks that the student will grasp it or will know it. It is just the passing of the information or the knowledge from teacher to the students. That is called the instructivist mode. But here, through this mode, what we can do, we have to adopt a new pedagogy, that is the constructivist approach to learning. And what is constructivist approach? It is that all of us, we build our own knowledge or we build our own learning through our experiences and through environment. So, this is the main point with what all educationists in India and abroad basically are, they are using this approach, that is the constructivist approach to learning. Through this constructivist approach, we want to achieve higher level of cognition and creativity. What, as I said earlier, what we are doing is we are just achieving the lowest level of cognition. So, the focus is on learning to learn, which you must be knowing that was the Delors Commission, one of the pillars out of the 4 pillars which they recommended, is one of is on learning to learn, and the focus is on learning to learn. Basically what it is, we know how to teach, but we have never thought about that how students learn. So, the focus here should be not only students, each one of us, how do we learn? We have never studied, or we do not emphasize on that, but the focus has to be on learning to learn. So, the challenges of EduSat now is on the instructional design, that how do we design our instruction. Second is the content development. If we see that the software available at this moment is few, it is not that we do not have it, but it is few and it is scattered, and it is just we do not know where it is available. So, we have to develop the content, whether it is at the pre-primary level or the primary level or at the secondary, higher secondary level, whether it is in the agriculture sector, technical sector, all the sectors, we have to develop the content. Next is the strategic synergy for optimizing learning. Here the word is optimizing learning, that how maximum it is we have learned better. And the next challenge is the software design and the development, and developing human capacities. That is the most important part of it, that is how to develop the human capacities, and management and auditing of the learning. This was in all the previous slides. I just tried very briefly to just take you or make you aware of, or just get a little knowledge about the development of satellites in India. Now, the vision for the future, we should know about what the vision of the future is. This again I have taken it from one of the newspaper cuttings, which are the views of President APJ Abdul Kalam in an interview published in the Hindu on July 28, 2005. The vision for the next 10 years he has given is as: first, create a hyperplane. Hyperplane is that the satellite people or the space technology people, they want to use the reusable launch vehicles. Hyperplane is that we are using reusable launch vehicles. Second vision which he has given for the space technology people is manned flights. Third is the development of propulsion system. Fourth, explore planets like Mars and Moon. And the next and the last is the Chandrayaan program. There is a spacecraft which is orbiting around the sun. So, these are the main 5 points which I took it from this interview which was published in the Hindu by and from President APJ Abdul Kalam. I would like to acknowledge that I have taken all this information from these 4 sites mainly. I would like to thank and hope you must have found this session interesting. Thank you.